Boys, week one is in the books, and that was one hell of a week. I luckily got to sit down all Sunday from basically 1 o'clock till 7. I watched it all on NFL Red Zone, which I strongly recommend to all of you. Especially up here in Canada, you get it through DAZN. I don't know if you've ever heard of it. It's $20 a month. I recommend it. I don't work for DAZN, but sounds like I do. Anyways, it was one hell of a week one. There were upsets, there were injuries, as always in football, and there were some big games. So I wanted to start with the top 5 players from week one. Starting from the top, Ryan Fitzpatrick was unbelievable against the New Orleans Saints, which is the defense that I owned. He put up 42 fantasy points. He had 417 yards passing, 4 touchdowns, and 1 rushing touchdown. Unbelievable game. We've seen Fitzpatrick put on performances similar to this in the past, and it doesn't typically last, but might be a nice waiver wire ad this week for somebody who's streaming. I'm looking at you, Gavin. Now on to number 2, Tyreek the Freak Hill. Tyreek Hill might be the fastest man alive. I just watched a highlight recently of his punt return, and he is chugging. So he put up 38.8 points this week. Owned by Drew, who was his second round pick, which I remember when you made that pick, I was thinking, that's a reach. But you know what? I might be eating those thoughts because you made a good pick, man. He looks really good. Anyways, he had 7 catches, 169 yards, 2 touchdowns, and a punt return touchdown, which, me being the commissioner, should probably know these things. I didn't realize punt return touchdowns count towards your fantasy score. Now, number 3 was Alvin Kamara with 38.6 points. He had, with Mark Ingram sidelined right now for the first 4 weeks, you'd think maybe he'd have a couple more touches, at least in the running game. He only had 8 rushing plays, 8 carries for 29 yards, but 2 touchdowns on the ground. And then 9 catches for 112 yards. So he's basically a receiver. And another touchdown. Also a 2-point conversion. Huge game for my boy, Super Camario. Number 4 was James Conner. So Gavin, you made probably the pickup of the week. James Conner put up 31.7 points. Gavin picked him up before things kind of got, released that Lev Bell was truly not playing this week. So Gavin kind of jumped the gun. He beat us all to the punch. Didn't even have to spend any fab money on him. Picked him up, put him in his starting roster, puts up 31.7 points. He had 31 carries, 135 yards, 2 touchdowns, also 5 receptions for 57 yards. Unbelievable game for James Conner, and it sounds like he might just continue rolling because Lev Bell doesn't seem to be close to a contract. Plus, well, they did tie the Browns, so there's that, but when you're putting up a performance like that, why do you need Lev Bell? And number 5 was Drew Brees. Old man Drew Brees, who is going to be setting the new record for passing yards this year. Or if he did not, I believe he has to get like 1,000-something yards this year, which he easily will do because he just put up 439 yards in week 1. And he will have passed for the most yards. I feel like that's kind of going under the radar. Anyways, Winter drafted him. I remember thinking when he drafted him, like, good pick, but he wasn't really that great last year. They relied a lot on the run, but he was active. He also had 3 touchdowns and a 2-point conversion. So week 1 was full of some unbelievable performances, big upsets. Obviously, the Buccaneers beating the Saints was ridiculous, 48-40. A lot of guys who are in survivor pools and picked the Saints. I'm sorry. That's really unfortunate. Just the way it goes. Week 1 is always full of surprises. Now, before I get going on everything, I have a trade to announce. I'm sure you probably got an email. You've probably read it by now, but I just wanted to announce it just to start things off. The first trade in the League 2.0. We've got Travis Kelce going to Gavin, which is the Toronto Flatliners. And he's trading Adrian Peterson back the other way to Dave, Wally World. Now, Dave obviously felt uncomfortable after a week 1 loss. You don't have the strongest running game by the looks of it. But wasn't Travis Kelce your second or third round pick? So it's a pretty big trade. But you know what? I've seen trades before like this where it's like it looks like it's kind of heavy one way, but they could work out the other way. You never know. Adrian Peterson could end up putting on a show for a couple more weeks. He looked really good in week 1. So the top scores in week 1, Toronto Flatliners lead the charge with 123.1 points. Huge week from them with, James Conner leading the charge. What is going on with my hair right now? Look at that. That's something else. Number 2 was Bryce, the Magic School Bus, who was against Gavin, put up 122.36 points. The second closest matchup of the week, which is unbelievable. They were less than a point separating them, and they weren't even the closest matchup. I didn't expect that in week 1. Number 3 was Kyle, the Odell Republic, with 120.52 points, which I'm going to go over the matchups. I didn't think you were going to be scoring that many points halfway through Sunday. And the worst score of the week, I want to come up with a name or an award for this person. I don't have one yet. But Wally World, Dave, you put up 76.04 points this week, which it's not too good, but as always with week 1s, don't freak out. Week 1, things happen, injuries happen, crazy scores happen. Don't freak out. It's going to be okay. Half the teams win week 1, half the teams lose week 1. And there can technically be a tie, but with this 2 decimal places, I doubt there will be any ties this year. I was also kind of scanning through the points, and I just want to announce this early on. The best bench player that I saw on the bench that actually would have been a turning point in their matchup was Deshaun Jackson, which I had high hopes that Chris Godwin would be the Deshaun Jackson this week. Deshaun put up 29.1 points, and if Blake had put him in his lineup, he would have got the win. Anyways, on to the matchups for rivalry week. Now, just so everybody knows, if you haven't perused the schedule, you face your rival in week 1, which is someone within your division, and then you will be facing them for the second time in the last week of the season, which I believe is week 13. You will also have a quiet, out of conference rival. I know mine is Kyle, the Odell Republic. Everyone has another team that they face twice. So there's only 2 teams you face twice. Every other team you face once. So on to the matchup. So to start things off, we had the Velvet Buzzsaws taking on me, Super Camario Bros. My dad, the Velvet Buzzsaws, put up 119.14 points, and I put up 101.5. Now, it was a rough day for me. I felt like I was in it for most of it. Big Ben had one of the worst games I've ever seen him play. He threw, I believe it was, 4? He had 2 fumbles lost, and I believe he threw 4 picks. Somehow he still managed to put up 12 points, which isn't that good for a quarterback. But my dad matched that with Jimmy G, who also had a brutal game against Minnesota. He had 3 interceptions. Anyways, don't need to dive too deep into everything here. But based on the matchup, I had Alvin Kamara carrying me, basically. My dad, he retaliated with, Melvin Gordon put up 23.1 points. And I think the game changer for him was New Orleans Saints defense for me and LeGarrette Blount both being negatives. You don't really want negative players in your lineup. Versus Dion Lewis, his flex, put up 19.5. And Denver defense put up 12. So you got 2 negatives versus a 19.5 and a 12. And you're not going to win. And I didn't win. Wasn't even close in the end. When it comes down to bench players for our matchup, my dad, oh my God, I dropped Randall Cobb like an idiot because of these rumors that they're going to trade him. Sounded like they didn't want him. Anyways, my dad picked him up. He put up 24.7 points. He was on my dad's bench. But, damn. And Austin Eckler, who was behind Melvin Gordon, he's the backup, he put up 21.1 points, and he was on my dad's bench. He didn't need him. He got the win. My only mistake was that I didn't start Andrew Luck or Geronimo Allison, which, did any of you catch that Green Bay comeback? That could be the game of the year already in week 1. Aaron Rodgers down and out. Oh, wait, no, he's not. He comes back, wins the game for them. The NFL is always better when he's playing, that's for sure. Okay, on to matchup number 2. We had The Way She Goes, Matt Winter, versus Lil Sebastian, Matt Riley. Matt Riley, Lil Sebastian put up 119.74 points. He got the win versus Way She Goes, 107.36. It started off with Matt Winter. Sorry, Way She Goes. I'm going to stick with the team names. Way She Goes had the lead early on because of the Thursday night game. He had Zach Ertz, he had Julio Jones in that Thursday night lineup. So he had a nice chunk of points right away. But he got crushed by injuries this week. Every week someone's going to get hit hard. Marquise Goodwin went down early in that game, so he put up 0 points. And Leonard Fournette, which is even more worrisome because he spent a early second round pick on him. He only put up 7 points because he was hurt early on. I believe it was a hamstring leg injury. That one's going to hurt, man. Just hang in there. I don't want to, I think people don't want to hear too much about waiver wire, but TJ Yeldon, you should probably look into picking him up as a security blanket. But Julio Jones put up 23 points for you, and Drew Brees looked on point. So there's a lot to look forward to over there. Now, on the winning side, Riley, good job, man. Your team looked great. Even with Stafford looking completely horrible. 4 interceptions. He looked like a waste of life on Monday night. You had a great lineup, though. Emmanuel Sanders, 24.5 points. Jesus. He's your third wide receiver. He's unbelievable. Devontae Adams, 17.3. Saquon Barkley, your first-round pick. He looked like he was getting stymied by the Jags. He ends up putting up 19.8 points. One of them was basically all his points were from that one big run. Everyone, if you can, Google it, YouTube it, or whatever. The Saquon Barkley, his big run was freaking huge. He broke a couple tackles and he was gone. I think we're going to be seeing a lot of that this year. He's an exciting player. So all you Giants fans, Kyle, it's going to be a fun year for you. But yeah, it was a good matchup. Jay Ajayi also, he's one of those guys that I thought he'd be a pain to roster because it's hard to rely on the amount of carries he gets, but it sounds like after week 1 he's going to get a bigger workload, so you should look forward to that, Riley. Your only downfall was the Chargers defense was a -3, and you still walked away with an easy win, so nicely done. You also have Chris Thompson on your bench who put up 21.8 points, and Phillip Rivers put up 29.96. You didn't even need those points. You got the win without it. And Winter, your bench was kind of quiet. Just hang in there, man. It's only 1 week. On to the next matchup. We had the Odell Republic, Kyle, versus Finkel is Einhorn, Steve Bruce. Odell Republic took the win with 120.52 points. Finkel put up 85.14. It was the biggest upset of the week. Actually, not an upset. Well, technically it was an upset because the projected points had Steve winning that game. But it was the biggest score, basically. Biggest difference. Why can't I think of the words? My God. Anyways, great matchup. Deshaun Watson looked lost. That's a bit worrisome for you, Steve. But I'm sure he'll be okay. He's a very naturally talented kid. Isaiah Crowell broke a huge run. If you guys were watching the Jets game on Monday night, that put up 22.2 points for you, Kyle. That was huge. Russell Wilson doing his thing as always. You had a very solid lineup, but I remember when we were talking on Sunday while watching the games. Josh Gordon, invisible, and then he gets one pass for a touchdown basically, and puts up 8.2 points. Isn't that much, but it adds up, right? It looked like he was going to put up a donut, and you got points out of it. It's just a classic Kyle move. We were in a league last year where it was just touchdowns or points, basically, and Kyle, he always finds touchdowns. I don't know how he does it. Todd Gurley, for you, Steve, looked perfectly fine on Monday. He looked great. He put up 22.2 points for you. So, Steve, I know you got crushed week 1, but hang in there, man. You'll be fine. You had a ton of injuries. Will Fuller injured. Ronald Jones didn't start. Julian Edelman suspended. A lot of guys on your bench you couldn't even use. So you were kind of painted into a corner, and you also have Pat Mahomes on your bench who put up 28.34 points, and he looked mighty fine. That guy has got a freaking cannon for an arm. And on your bench, Kyle, you didn't really make any roster mistakes. Carolina defense actually played better than the Houston defense. I didn't really realize you had the Carolina defense. And Tyler Lockett looks like his value is going to be going up because Doug Baldwin is out, and he should be out for a little while. So he looks like a good value, that's for sure. On to the next matchup. This was the second closest game, believe it or not. The Toronto Flatliners versus the Magic School Bus. Toronto took the win 123.1 to 122.36. It was tight. It was very tight. It came down to the wire. It came down to the Monday night late game, which I was long gone in bed, fast asleep. But looking over your matchup, Doug Baldwin was out for you, Toronto, for Gavin. 0 points. You think when your best wide receiver puts up 0 points, you're probably in for a guaranteed loss. Didn't matter. Gavin still put up the most points this week. James Conner, who he picked up, biggest waiver wire ad of last week, 31.7 points, led the charge for you. Golden Tate looked great. Ezekiel Elliott put up 16.1 points, and he looked like he got stymied. So what the hell's that all about? It's just workload, right? On your side, Bryce, you were in it, man. You were in it. Kirk Cousins looked great. I'm surprised he only put up 20.36 points. He looked better than that. Mike Evans, who personally I'm not a huge fan of, he got a touchdown, 147 yards. So looks like he's off to a good start. Robbie Anderson, 9.7. He was your Josh Gordon of the week. Looked like he's going to put up 0 points. He had 1 target, 1 catch, 41 yards, and a touchdown. Like, it's always good to maximize on your opportunities, right? And you also have your number one, what was it? Did you have the second pick or third pick? I don't remember. I need to look into that. But DJ, he put up only 15.2 points for you, and he looked he didn't look bad. It was Arizona that looked bad. They looked really bad. And you've got Gronk, man. Gronk, 19.8 points, and him and Brady looked good. I'm a little bit worried about Gronk coming into the season, but he looked fine, man. He's dominant guy. And I love that both of you had unbelievable defenses. Minnesota put up 18 points. Gavin, Baltimore put up 17. Whew! 2 elite defenses, and it doesn't look like Minnesota's going to slow down. Anyways, on to the next matchup. This was the closest matchup of the week. Brady's Bunch versus Total Immortal. That's Blake versus Andrew. Holy crap. This came down to the wire. Brady's Bunch took the win with 114.88 points. Andrew put up 114.82 points. And if you take a little gander at your bench, actually, yeah, basically the only, you're probably haunted by the fact that you didn't put Chris Godwin in over, but why would you? You wouldn't put him in over Allen Robinson or Marvin Jones. So you got to just accept it. Some games just go that way. Sometimes you get the win, sometimes you don't when it's super, super tight like that. It's a coin flip. You should just look forward to week 2. That's got to hurt though. When you're on the winning side of a game that's close, it feels awesome. So Blake must be feeling really, really good. The big performances for your matchup, Tyreek Hill put up 38.8 points. He was an absolute monster. That punt return, I still can't get over that. And Michael Thomas, he had 30 points. So he was right there with 16 receptions, which is ridiculous. I don't think I've ever seen that. I think the record's set at 20 or 18 or something. 16 receptions, 180 yards, and a touchdown. Frig. Michael Thomas is Drew Brees' number 1 by a mile. I'd say other key matchup pieces here. Joe Mixon put up 23.4 for my Bengals. He looks really good. I wish I had him on my team. That's a great 3rd round pick. Kareem Hunt was, I guess, when you look at it, it's matched up. Joe Mixon versus Kareem Hunt. Kareem Hunt only put up 4.9. But he looked good, man. 4.9 looks like a really bad week for Kareem Hunt. And it is, technically, fantasy-wise. But he looked good. I wouldn't be worried about him if you are. Rams defense, dominant as always. They've got probably the most stacked. They're probably the most stacked team on both sides of the ball. But yeah, unbelievable matchup. And Drew, you were almost lucky because he didn't put Deshaun Jackson in the lineup, which was the highest bench scoring player with 29.1 points. So I think Blake deserved the win. All right, last matchup. Rogue Vile, which is Shane, versus Wally World, which is Dave, who made that blockbuster trade already, like making moves. I love it. I'm excited about that. I want movement in this league. Shane took the win with 93.24 points to 76.04. So, Wally World, you had a tough week, man. It must have been a tough Sunday for you. So we had Aaron Rodgers, who went down, and I remember you were messaging in the chat there, Shane, comes back. Just a fourth quarter miracle. I recommend anyone who did miss that game to check out the highlights of that game. It was incredible. Key matchups here. DeAndre Hopkins was actually pretty quiet. Patriots always keep him in check for when he's up against them. Antonio Brown put up 19.8 for you, Dave. Looking it over, Tevin Coleman looks like he could be a huge value. I think you got him in the 6th round or something. He might be stealing the job from Devonta Freeman. So if I'm you, Shane, I'd be a little bit concerned. A little bit. But you're okay. You got the win. You're 1-0. There's actually nothing to worry about. Other key matchup pieces here, looking it over. It was a tight matchup in most areas. It looks like you kind of got killed in tight end. Travis Kelce put up 1.1 points. So I can see why you traded him. You must have hated him after week 1. And then Rashard Matthews, I'm surprised. I don't think he played. I didn't see him in that Tennessee game. And Chris Hogan put up 1.6, which was ridiculous. There's a lot of hype about Chris Hogan going into the year. So you kind of got gypped, Dave. You got gypped. I feel for you, man. Just hang in there. It's week. Many more weeks to go. And you unfortunately had. Wow, yeah, you must be haunted a bit. So you had Kenny Stills, who put up 24.16 points, and also Jared Cook, who put up 22.5 on your bench. 2 spots where you could have replaced 1-point guys, basically. You could have had you could have had 40 more points. Oh my god, Dave. Poor you, buddy. But yeah, big win for Shane. Good matchups all around. I'm impressed with how close a lot of the scores were. There weren't many blowouts. Just basically Kyle and Shane took relatively large wins. I'm loving this, guys. I'm loving the point scoring. I'm loving this league. I'm loving the chat. You guys are blowing up the chat. I'm really excited about the waiver wire. I'm intrigued to see how you guys spend your fab money. We all have $100. I'm sure many of you are going to be cautious, which I don't blame you. It's 16 weeks in this, or 17 weeks, 16 games. Don't want to spend it too quickly, right? And I wouldn't say there doesn't seem to be any gigantic gems on the waiver wire. There's a couple guys that look pretty nice. That Lindsey guy, stealing carries from Royce Freeman, didn't like that. TJ Yeldon, as I mentioned earlier. I don't want to throw too many names out there because I'm sure a lot of you are like, hey, keep it hush hush. This is my guy. I want to spend $2 to get him. I don't want to spend 10 or 12 or 20. Who knows how much you guys will spend. I'm excited. But anyways, great week 1, guys. I'm going to try to get better at this. I'm obviously a noob. If there's anything that I need to improve upon, let me know. But let's keep it up. I look forward to week 2. Starts Thursday night. My Bengals take on the Ravens, which coming into this year, I've been telling everybody that the Bengals suck and they're going to be just absolute crap this year. And while they won week 1 against Indy and their offense looked decent, but Indianapolis isn't that good. So I'm not too excited about it. I think the Ravens might embarrass us a little bit. They just embarrassed Buffalo pretty bad. Anyways, I could ramble on about football forever. But great week 1, guys. I'm pumped for week 2. Let's see some waiver wire ads. Let's see some fab dollars spent. Let's see some trades. I love it. Anyways, good week, guys. Bye.